So you're just getting started with Python? Awesome! You're about to learn the single most important concept, and I'm not exaggerating here, variables. They are the absolute foundation for everything you're going to do in programming. Let's dive right in.
First, let's ask a simple question. How do computers even remember things? I mean, think about any app or game you use. It has to remember your high score, your username, what's in your shopping cart, right? But how does a computer actually hold on to that information from one second to the next? Well, that's the exact problem that variables are here to solve.
Let's make this super simple. Imagine you're just organizing your desk. First, you grab a box. Then you put something inside it, maybe your favorite pen. And finally, you stick a label on the box that says favorite pen. And believe it or not, in those 3 little steps, you've just perfectly understood the core idea of a variable. It really is that straightforward.
Okay, so let's take that super simple idea of a labeled box and see how it actually translates into the world of programming and code. So here's the official definition. A variable is a named storage location in a computer's memory that holds a value. But let's put that in plain English. Think of the computer's memory as a giant, massive warehouse filled with empty boxes. A variable is just us, the programmer, putting a clear label on one of those boxes so we can find what's inside it later on. Easy, right? So how do we actually create one of these labeled boxes in Python? Let's turn this whole concept into some real actual code you can write. And here it is, this one simple line of code. Name equals Python. That's it. This does everything we just talked about with the boxes and labels. We've officially created our very first variable. All right, let's break this down piece by piece. First up, you've got name. That's our label, or what we call the variable name. Then you see the equal sign. Now, in programming, this is super important. It's called the assignment operator. It's the action of assigning, or putting something into the box. And finally, you have the word Python in quotes. That's the actual item we're storing inside. So you have the label, the action, and the item. Simple as that. And you know, these boxes aren't just for text. They can hold all sorts of things. For instance, age equals 18 stores a whole number. Or marks equals 85.5 can store a number with a decimal point. Variables are incredibly flexible, which is what makes them so powerful. Now, when it comes to labeling your boxes, you've got a ton of freedom. But there are a few simple rules that Python needs you to follow, just to make sure everything works the way it's supposed to. So let's take a look. On the left, we've got some good, valid names. Something like student name with an underscore is super common and really easy to read. But look over on the right. At the invalid ones, you can't start a name with a number, like one name, and you can't use special characters like a hyphen. The key takeaway, just stick to letters, numbers, and underscores, and you'll be golden. And if you happen to break one of those rules, well, you're going to see something that looks like this, a syntax error. This is just Python's way of politely saying, hey, I don't understand the label you just used. Following the naming rules keeps our code nice and clean, and best of all, error-free. Okay, so we know how to create and label our boxes. But what's the point of storing all this information if we can't do anything with it? The real power, the real magic, comes from actually using these variables. Remember our very first variable? We've got that box, it's labeled name, and it has the word Python sitting snugly inside it. So, how do we get that value back out? Well, we can use a really handy command called print. When we write print, parentheses, welcome to, comma, name, we're basically telling Python, hey, first, I want you to display the words welcome to, and then go find that box you have labeled name and show me whatever's inside it. And here's what the computer spits out. Now notice this is the crucial part. It doesn't print the word name. No, it prints the value that was inside the name variable. We use the variable's name as a reference to get the data that it holds. So why is this so incredibly useful? Well, imagine your program uses the word Python 100 different times. Instead of typing it out over and over again, you just use the name variable. And if you ever decide to change that word to, I don't know, Python 3.12, you only have to change it in one single spot. That is the power of variables. And that's really the whole idea. Seriously, mastering this one concept is a massive first step on your Python journey. So let's do a quick recap of everything we just covered. So in just the last few minutes, you've learned what variables are. They're just labeled containers for data. You've learned the super simple way to create them, just the name, an equal sign, and a value. And you've learned the essential rules for naming them so your code works every time. So you've officially stored your very first piece of data inside a computer's memory using code. That is a pretty powerful thing. The only real question left is, what are you going to build with it?